Take-Two Interactive Software made quite a splash last year with Hell, a cyberpunk thriller, one of the first computer adventures with movie-sized star power. The company apparently feels that you can't get too much of a good thing. Their upcoming horror adventure, Ripper, is not only jam-packed with celebrities, but they appear in full-motion video, not just voices like in Hell. Take-Two is pulling out all the stops for this 4-disc monster. IE talked to Vice President of Development F.J. Lennon for a few clues to this multimedia mystery.
In 2040 in New York, there's a Ripper attacking victims. And essentially the player becomes Jake Quinlan, who's a crime reporter for the Virtual Herald. And his job is to go out and crack the mystery, basically, of who the Ripper is, how he's killing, how he or she is killing, because the game has different paths and the Ripper can be different characters.
This cyberpunk update of Jack the Ripper, the 19th century's most infamous serial killer, is not a straightforward replay, but a new and unpredictable scenario.
People who think it's going to be a story about a serial killer running around with a knife, they're completely wrong, because it's got a real twist on technology and computers and cyberspace and decking and all of those elements.
While this game would be classified as an adventure, it will not suffer from the linear structure and lack of replayability that one usually associates with that genre.
There's a lot of different ways the player can go, and essentially there are potentially 4 different people who could be the Ripper in any given scenario. Players will have to pay very close attention to not only the conversations, but some of the evidence that's presented here and there, and basically compile all of that and make their decision when they're faced with, all right, who is the Ripper? And you're going to look all 4 of these characters in the eye, and you've got one chance to pick who it is.
The most famous name associated with Ripper is Christopher Walken. After 20 years or so of being one of the creepiest guys on the big screen in movies like Pulp Fiction and The Deer Hunter, this is Walken's first multimedia role, and it's the kind of part he does best: mysterious and menacing.
Christopher Walken, who is just one of the premier actors of the time, has a very major role as the detective behind, who's investigating this, sort of along with the player character, the reporter, but oftentimes they come to clash, and potentially he could also be the Ripper.
Walken is by no means the only familiar name in the Ripper cast. Movie fans will also recognize Karen Allen and John Rhys Davies from Raiders of the Lost Ark, Ozzie Davis from Do the Right Thing, Tennille Welsh from the Cocoon movies, and Burgess Meredith from Rocky 1 through 3 and practically everything else that's ever been made.
Burgess Meredith plays not only one character but 2 characters, because they're twin brothers, one of them being dead, so that was a real challenge. And he's an amazing person to watch work. I mean, he's approaching 90 years of age, and it was just a marvelous day for everybody here. The set, the crew, everybody involved just had a really good day with him.
One of the more unusual casting decisions was to use Jimmy Walker. Walker's greatest fame was as JJ, the Dynamite Kid in the popular 70s sitcom Good Times. While he dropped out of the public eye in the 80s, he's recently been working up a comeback with movies like Home Alone 2 and The Guyver.
Jimmy Walker, who's playing a character called Soap Beatty, who's sort of an information expert, cyberpunk hacker, who you can go to from time to time in the game to get information. He's a real computer hacker and a real sort of guardian angel in the game that you can go to for help when you need it.
Included with these more famous names are a cast of over 30 other characters, including David Patrick Kelly from Twin Peaks. There are bound to be a few more familiar faces mixed in. But the actors will not be the only familiar element in Ripper. The soundtrack features music by AOR staple Blue Oyster Cult. Including their biggest hit, Don't Fear the Reaper, despite the persistent rumors, BOC will not be substituting the word Ripper for Reaper. With products like Ripper and Hell, Take-Two is proving that computer games are worthy of the attentions of big-name celebrities. Next month, IE will feature a conversation with John Rhys Davies about this transition from the actor's point of view. But meanwhile, you can start drooling about the release of Ripper, coming for the PC and Sony PlayStation this November and for the Macintosh in January '96.